Good morning, everybody. We want to start out today with a kind of a highlight of a guy who's doing things right. So the eye to eye now is in full swing, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as we did on Friday. We're going to talk a little bit more about it today. But what I want to cover is that if you don't get these folks and the first shot or the no shows or the people that come to the first meeting, they'll go to the next meeting or whatever it may be, you need to compound your marketing. So we talk about compounding for our clients all the time, about the power of compounding their investments. But so many people in this industry do not compound their marketing. The vast majority of your cost for getting a prospect is right up front. Keeping them warm and warm and warm until they buy afterwards is very, very cheap. And Tom has done a fantastic job of that in his career, and I wanted him to talk a little bit about that. So, Tom, what's the value of dripping on these people once you, once you get them into your sales cycle?
Well, in a word, it's priceless. I over the years, I've kind of discovered that on my own, but then definitely really hit home and brought it to the forefront when I started working with you about how insanely important it is to keep them in the system, keep them in the loop through epidemic marketing, whether it's newsletters and emails and contact and follow-up and so on and so forth. It's been priceless for me.
Now, didn't you have a case where you first, because you were actually the guy who made me eat crow about the eye to eye that this would actually work. So you started this back in the fall, but didn't you do a mailing like in either early, mid, or late fall, and you just closed that person like in the spring? I can't remember.
Yeah, actually, that's a great recollection. Like, that's exactly right. We had a couple of cases or a couple of folks come through in the late fall that things went well, but as you and I talked, I had what I thought were a couple of hiccups here and there and such, but they were definitely in the system. I put them into my epidemic marketing, my newsletter, the follow-ups, did a couple of creative follow-ups after talking with you, just that had nothing to do with money or any of our work, just kind of a, hey, wanted to send this funny thing or this interesting fact to you, and here it is. What are we in August? And I've actually closed 2 of those cases here in the last 30, 45 days now. So it's taken quite a while, but because I stayed in front of them, because I did things that I didn't call them and say, hey, when are we going to get together to talk about your money? Or I didn't send them an email that said, here, look at all these fun financial things that we can talk about. There was so much more than that. It wasn't even in the equation, and it was because of my diligent follow-up. At least that's what I want to think. That they're on board. They're now full-fledged clients, and cases are being processed, and revenues are being earned, and I'll have extraordinary clients out of them.
Well, you would not even, they would not even remember who you were if you hadn't done that. I'll just be in 16 years of coaching, guys, you are by far the most tenacious person in follow-up. But here's the thing: when I say tenacious, like you said, it's not in their face and calling them up and bugging them and when we're going to get together and let's talk about money. Tenacious being that just that constant drip of staying in front of them, adding value, not pushing. I mean, if you had been bothering them about getting together about money, how long before they would have just started trashing all your newsletters and putting you on the putting your phone number on the do not disturb list. So it would have been no time flat that would have happened. And you're absolutely right. It's being tenacious from the perspective of it, not the financial side of it, but just like you said, drip and drip and drip. And I'm the first to stand up and hold my hand up and say, you know what, I didn't include that person in epidemic marketing for some reason, or I missed out, for whatever clerical error I made for not including somebody. And you go to call them or you go to send them something, and that's exactly what happens. They forget who you are, or, oh yeah, we talked months ago. Yeah, we're not interested. You get that. So and it happens in a matter of
a blink of an eye, if you will, that they forget who you are.
Well, I got it. So, well, I really appreciate you sharing that, Tom, because that is so, that follow-up is so important, and it can turn something that's moderately profitable into 6 months later something that was hugely profitable. It's that stuff that you're running in the background, that dripping in the background, where you land a case that you didn't even think you're going to get, and it adds to your profit margin immensely. So thank you, first of all, for doing that, Tom, and second of all, thank you for sharing that with everybody here, and hopefully some guys are picking up on how important that is. So thanks, Tom.
You are welcome. And if you don't mind, I'll share just one other quick thought, is that let's not forget to do it with our existing clients, because I cannot tell you how many times I've had feedback of gosh, why didn't your newsletter come exactly on the first? Why I haven't had an email? I forgot to give you my email. Or I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a referral, maybe not necessarily business directly with an existing client, but they said, oh, I got that fun article you sent via email. I forwarded it over to my friend, and next thing I know, I'm getting a call from the friend. So let's not also forget our existing clients, not just our prospects, in our epidemic marketing and ongoing follow-up.
If I went back into personal production right now, the first thing I would do, and obviously I have cash to do this, but the first thing I would do is get the 12,000 households in my area that I would want to market to and get them on my newsletter. And I would send them that newsletter for 12 months. So after 12 months, how many of those 12,000 people would know me, Tom?
Probably all 12,000 of them.
Yeah. So what's that going to do for any marketing I do going forward? If I do a seminar, what would that do for the seminar mailing?
Dramatic increase, I'm sure.
Yeah, the one-on-one, same thing. See, that's a guy sending us newsletter all the time. And here's the funny thing that you guys probably is counterintuitive to most of you. When I was doing seminars, I had to mail to the same 12,000 households, and we've grown to 14,000 now over 16 years, but the same 12,000 households over and over and over in a year. So they had gotten the same, and it used to be on a peach color piece of paper. There was no color to it. It was black ink on peach color. And they got this mailing 6 times a year. And at first I had a lot of attendance, and it slowly dribbled off. But then when I started coaching in 2000, all of a sudden I said, I'm going to do one more mailing, and the thing went through the roof. I got like almost twice as much response as I normally get. I'm like, what the heck happened here? So Missy and I started asking all the folks, what brought you here? And they started saying, or they didn't start saying, they were saying, well, I've been getting your stuff forever, but my neighbor said I need to come see you. You're the only person in town who knows what he's talking about. Hey, I've been getting your stuff forever, but you know what? The guy I work with said that you're the only guy here that knows what's going on with the IBM retirement plan. So what happened is once they got to know me, all of a sudden my response from a mailing doubled. So there is that drop off when you first start mailing, but then after they get to know you, guess what? Then your response rate goes way up. So don't, as I agree with Tom, send this stuff to your clients, but you should have a prospect list that you should be sending this to as well. So thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right.
The other thing that I want to talk about today is that we talk about Social Security and the problems with Social Security that can occur if you don't have your power of attorney done correctly. Now, here's the funny thing. I talked here about 6 months ago about the Veterans Administration. We found out that that many people, or the Veterans Administration kills many people that are still alive, and then how long does it take for those veterans to convince the VA department that they're still alive to get their benefits back? Forever. So all of a sudden their benefits quit coming in, and does the VA, does the average power of attorney have the necessary verbiage for the Veterans Administration? No. But here's what I found. This article right here. Guess what it's saying about Social Security? Same thing. Social Security regularly kills people who are still alive, and then what happens to their benefits? And if their spouse, if the power of attorney doesn't have the correct language in there, what's going to happen to their spouse when they try to fix that if the spouse is incapacitated? So guys, is the fact that their power of attorney doesn't work with the Veterans Administration, Medicare, or Social Security, can these problems occur? And when they occur, how much of a problem can that be for that surviving spouse, or for the spouse that's trying to take care of everybody? It's right there at the bottom. So these things that we bring to their attention, is it figments of our imagination, or do these things happen to people every single day? Every single day. Every single day. So Jerry's going to talk about a product that I think many people are not. I know I certainly wasn't aware of the product. Not that I keep up on product that much, but I had never heard of this product. So Jerry, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks, Mike. So we have found a little gem of a product that I don't think everybody knows about, so just going to do a quick blurb about it, and then I just got a couple quick housekeeping items too as well. And I'm not going to tell you exactly who the product is and what product it is, so if you want to know what it is, then after the call, go ahead and give myself or Jeff Van Grinsven or Jeb a call, and we're more than happy to give you the state availability and the details on the product. But it is a little gem of a product. So what it is the monthly point-to-point on it, as you can see here, is 2.5%. So that's one of the highest monthly point-to-points. So your high-end ability is up to 30% a year, but 2.5% monthly point-to-point is a pretty darn good monthly point-to-point. It's got a fixed account inside of it. This is an FIA, and the fixed account's at 3.1%. So if you think about that for a minute, that's higher than almost every single MIGA out there, even if you're looking at a 10-year MIGA. So you have a built-in 3.1% fixed account. Like I said, this is a niche product, so that's why I want to bring it to you, because it's got some neat things in it. Double indemnity. So this is kind of a little bonus structure that they have in the contract, where well, essentially what it does is if you have $200,000 in the account, and then the owner of it were to die in some sort of just an accident, like accident insurance, they would get double the money back. So if you had 200 in, you would get $400,000 if you were to die in a car accident, a plane crash, falling off a ladder, something like that, and you were to pass away, they get double the money. And then one of the features that I really like about it is it's got 50% liquidity after 5 years. So what does that mean is the product has 10% free withdrawals, but they're cumulative free withdrawals. So I'll elaborate a little bit on that, and they'll give you those cumulative withdrawals up to 50%. So what that means is you have 10% free withdrawal. If you don't use it, you can roll it over into the second year. Now you have 20% free withdrawal. And then you can roll that 20 into the third year. Now you have 30% free withdrawal. And you can actually take that 50% and it can be 1035'd out. So it doesn't have to be just a free withdrawal. So tons of liquidity after 5 years there. It is a 13-year product, and it's an A-rated carrier. It's available in a ton of states. There are 17 states that it is not available in, so give Jeff Van Grinsven or myself a call, and we're happy to kind of see if it would be available in your state. And then also, they are running a commission special on this till the end of September, where you get an extra 1%. So it's normally 10%, and you get an extra 1 for 11. So give Jeff or myself a call, and we're more than happy to go over the details for you. And then just a couple housekeeping items too as well. When it comes to every product out there has product training. So if if you're not sure you did product training on a product, don't assume that you had it done. Just remember, every product has product training. Give Jeff or myself a call. We can walk you through it or get you the links to get that product training done. And then right now, there's rates and guarantees change from time to time. So if you ever do an illustration or you're looking at writing a product, if it's been more than a week and a half or 2 weeks, give myself again or Jeff a call just to make sure that there's been no changes since the illustration or the information that you got. So this way you don't get stuck in a position where you have incorrect info and there's been a change. And then the last point is with app packs. From time to time, just keep this in mind, app packs have an expiration date on them. And what I mean by that is the carriers are updating the disclosures from time to time. And if you use one of those old app packs, for instance, if I sent you an app pack out and it was sent out to you 3 months ago, you don't want to go grab that app pack and use it again. Request a new app pack. So here's kind of the rule of thumb I say to go with is if the app pack is more than a month old, if it's a month old or longer, go get a new app pack, because you don't want to get put in a position where you have to go get new papers signed.
Can I just jump in there a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Guys, a 5-minute email to JB, Jeb, or Jerry is going to save you how much time and effort as compared to fixing it if you use the wrong app packet with your client. So you know what? Never assume. Just check, and if they say, yeah, that's the right one or whatever, then you're cool. But it's so much easier. Just like we tell our clients, is it better be proactive or reactive? Be a little proactive and see if you got the right one first. So, sorry, Jerry.
Yep, no, that's perfect. It takes, exactly like Mike said, it takes 2 minutes. Shoot us an email, say, hey, I'm looking for, this is the app pack I need for this state. We'll get it out to you right away. I would just say, don't even ever assume you have that one. If it's old, just go get a new app pack on it. And at the same time, then you can say, hey, is my product training done, and has there been any product changes? Then you can kind of handle all three of those things at once. So that's my suggestion, to make sure it slows down, you don't have problems. Otherwise, if you make those mistakes, then you end up wasting time and having to go back to clients. So I don't like to see any of that stuff happen. So we're going to be here. We'll help you guys out on that. And then on the product, again, like I said, 2.5% monthly point-to-point. That's one of the best out there right now. 3.1 in the fix account. That's the best fix account I've seen out there. So take advantage of that. I don't know how long that's going to be around. And then the 50% liquidity, the cumulative free withdrawals, and then they are having that comp special till the end of September. So that's what I got.
That's an 11% commission to offer your clients a 3.1% guaranteed account. How many of your clients would be interested in a 3.1% guaranteed account right now? Lots or little? Yeah, exactly, Matthew. Yep. So, and you know what? At least give all your clients a call and say, would you be interested in knowing about this? And how many are going to say, yeah, tell me about it? So check it out. Anything else there, Jerry?
No, I think that's it for now. Thanks, Mike.
Super. Thank you, Jerry. So we talk a little bit more about the eye-to-eye, and we talked about this on Friday. So again, we're now having tons of appointments coming in every single day for our guys. So thank you. My push to get you guys doing the eye-to-eye, whether it was my push or you guys just kind of getting your offices straight and whatever to do this, we now have a lot of people doing the eye-to-eye. So keep that up, guys. So I want to give you a little bit of update on that. So we talked about on Friday. For the first meeting, should we be using the script or not? Should we be doing the script or not for that first meeting? Terry, that's the best answer. Jay's got it too. Sorta, yes and no. No, yeah, so you're going to use it as a guideline, but don't use the script, because if you sound canned, if you sound like you're presenting, it's going to be awkward. This is the first time you've met people. So learn the script and then throw it away and do whatever comes naturally. So you've got a track to run on, but don't be worried about what you're going to say next, okay? Have a conversation with them. And this is the only time you're going to hear me say this, because scripts are so important. Now we can use, why do scripts at the second meeting work? Because they're expecting a presentation at the second meeting, but they're not expecting a presentation at the first meeting. So you got to do the scripts at the second meeting, but at the first meeting here, just have a conversation with them. Does that make sense? Okay. Now we've had some questions on what do you do with one-leggers? What do you do with one-leggers? Well, you're going to do the intro, the conversation, the way you always do. So don't change that at all. Then you're going to gather the information, and then you're going to use the one-legger script, okay? So you're not going to, when they come in by themselves to this first meeting, do I care that they're by themselves? No. Do I care that they didn't bring in the data? No. We're going to talk about that here in a second. We're going to get them to bring in the data. But am I going to move forward before having the one-legger script? No. It's at the 21-point checklist that both of them need to come, because that's where decisions are made. Decisions are not being made at the first meeting, so I don't care if they're both there or not. But there are decisions being made at the second meeting, at the 21-point checklist, at the advisorectomy, that need both people there. So where is this? So any questions on this, guys, before I kind of show you where this script is, to make sure you guys know where it is? So you're going to do the one-legger script at the beginning or the end of that first meeting? End. Good. So let's take a look at, let me see here. Get the... So we go to meeting process, agreement meeting, training scripts and audios, and when one spouse is missing, the one-leggers outline. Okay? So there's how you're going to deal with that. Make sense? Oops. Okay, then we're going to talk about some other things that can happen. Oh, there's the one-legger script. So we have the actual script right there on the website that I showed you. Now another one, that we need to know, and we talked about this, was just want to talk about money and tie the power of attorney to everything. So when they walk into our office, and let me get back here to the website. So we're going to find those. Is it the agreement meeting, transcripts and audios? So there's your one-legger. Here's the tie the power of attorney to everything, and here's just want to shop around. I'm sorry, not just shop around. Here, just want to talk about money. Just want to talk about money. So if they come in and they want to just talk about Social Security, that's their issue. We're going to get on their side. We're going to chat a little bit about it, but we're going to let them know we can't give them any answers because why? What script are we going to use for that, guys? They just want to talk about Social Security. What script are we going to use? See if you were listening on Friday. What script are we going to use? Who gets the gold star today? Awesome, Jay. Just want to talk about money. That's where we're going to, so instead of talking about money, Jay, what are we going to say? Just want to talk about, we're going to substitute, instead of just want to talk about money, we're going to substitute just want to talk about Social Security. Exactly. So what if they come in, they just want to talk about long-term care? What are you going to do? What script are you going to use? To kind of help you guys out, let's see some more answers on this one. Make sure you're all getting it. Just want to talk about money, only we're going to use long-term care instead of the money. Make sense? So that script is talking about one size fits all, having a map but you don't know where you're at, and getting, am I going to tell them why we can't answer questions and can't get specific, or do they have to tell me? They have to tell me. That's why this script works, okay? Now, some of you said tie the power of attorney to everything. So that just to talk about money, just want to talk about money, long-term care, Social Security, whatever they want to talk about, that script is about 6-7 minutes long. The tie the power of attorney to everything is about 15 minutes long. Both of them will work, but which one is our go-to to begin with? The just talk about money. If that doesn't work, then we need to go to what? Tie the power of attorney to everything. Now, we haven't seen this happening a lot, but guys, when we're doing marketing, just because it hasn't happened a lot, most people are just going right through the process to the gathering the data and going towards the 21. But it has happened, say 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 times. Do you want to walk away from that 10 or 20% of people? No. So get these scripts down. Again, when I say scripts, these are conversations you're going to have, so don't worry about memorizing the scripts, but understand the concept. And I think we talked about here a few weeks ago that Mark actually uses the tie the power of attorney to everything. He uses not all of it, but bits and pieces here and there and there. He has it in the tool chest, and he pulls out the pieces he needs when he needs them. So guys, get good on those three scripts. You need the one-legger script, you need the just talk about money, and then the tie the power of attorney to everything. So any questions on that? Okay, so let me get back here. Uh-oh. I'll figure it out yet, guys. Give me a second. Aha, there we go. So, kind of give you an update on what's happening with the eye-to-eye. 87, again, we've had tons of appointments come in over the last 2 weeks now, and 87 of those appointments are going through the 5Q process, meaning that they have chosen to move through the process, and the advisor's chosen to take them through the process. It means they have over $100,000. Now, we're finding these folks, do you think these folks are nearer to 100,000 or nearer to 3, 4, 500,000? What would your guess be? Yeah, a lot more, 3, 4, 5. So, and we've had millions come in as well. So everything's working well. Now, with this, unfortunately, we've had just a couple, we've had some people at 100%, and some people just having a few hiccups getting the process started. But for the whole group, it's 87%, and the people that have had hiccups, Jeff and I are working vigorously with them trying to fix that for them. But the vast majority of people is going as smooth could be. Now, no-shows. We got 1 in 20. Again, we've had 2 guys where they've had a significant amount of no-shows, but everybody else has had virtually no-shows or 1 or 2 no-shows out of their whole couple of mailings that they've done. So 1 out of 20 no-shows. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what should we do if they have a no-show? This is what I would recommend. You go to our epidemic marketing. Is there anybody on the call that doesn't know where the epidemic marketing is? going to take that as a no. So go to, okay, good. So you're going to go to epidemic marketing, and then where you put your personal information, I would handwrite this to the people. If you do have that no-show, just like we talked about with Tom, should we just walk away from that person and say, oh, well, it didn't show up, or should we try to get them back in? Try to get them back in. Do not give up on them, okay? So here's what I do. I would handwrite this note. I was sending this out to my current clients, so I thought I would pop one in the mail for you too. Hope you enjoy, okay? Oops, no, this is what I'd recommend for every. The top one is what I'd recommend to send to all the people that come through the process. And how soon do you think I would recommend? So let's go back up one here. So let's say that they come through the process, they see you, and they're moving to a second meeting. How soon would I send out this epidemic marketing letter? Right away, yeah. And why would I do it? Why would I handwrite it, and why would I do it? And let's see how this is going to. What's this going to do when they walk into their next meeting with the 21? What are they going to feel like when they? Yeah, it's going to show that you care, Jerry. So they're going to have. It's going to make the 21-point checklist that much easier. Now, is this the only one piece I'm going to send out, guys? So I'm going to back out here again. Just make sure you all understand what you need to send out here. So go to marketing, epidemic marketing. We'll choose the August pieces. So you should be sending out the client newsletter. Okay. Bring my Word document up. So this is the one we've been looking at. And let me bring up. Okay, so you're going to put your handwritten note right in there. Okay. Get rid of that. Go back here. You're also going to send out the POC checklist. Bring that up. So the POC checklist is just a little helpful thing that you can send to them. How much does it cost to send them this little gift? So every month it's something a little bit different. Could be on packing for traveling. It could be what should be in your safety deposit box. It could be how to do a garage sale. It has all these little things. How much does it cost to send a piece of paper? Cost you a piece of paper, because are you sending out, if you're sending out the newsletter, it doesn't cost you postage. Why doesn't it cost you postage, guys? Why doesn't it cost you postage? No, it's not an email. No, it's not an email. You're stuffing it into the same envelope that what's in. You're stuffing it into the same envelope that what is in. Your newsletter. So do they charge you more for postage when you stuff this extra piece of paper in with your newsletter? No. So you're piggybacking it. Okay? So now they're getting this. They're getting a newsletter, and it's our newsletter about money, about is it maybe about money, but is it about investments and things like that? No. And then is this about money? No. And then let's go back one more. And you're also going to send this. Walk down memory lane, bring that up. So is this about money? No. How much does this one cost you to send out? Does it cost you postage? See if you guys are listening. Okay, no, good. Because you're going to stuff this. So they're getting 3 pieces in the same envelope, all of which are going to show what a financial genius you are, or what is it going to show? Going to show that you're a human being. It's going to show that you care. It's going to show that you're different, and it's going to warm them up. And guys, I used to send out a really professional newsletter that I bought. It was like 5-6 pages, 6 colors. I've had so many advisors in the last 16 years also send out those. And guess what those do? That's right. That's right, Jeff. This is friendly and folksy. Because if you send out those professional ones, what do you look like? I mean, I have a guy in New York who's been sending these out for years. He's in New York, New York City. And he didn't want to do this because he's with a big brokerage. He didn't want to do this, didn't want to do this, didn't want to do this. And he finally had his wife finally said, just send this out. And he sent it for 3 months. He got 3 referrals in 3 months. He said, and he said, Mike, I fought you and fought you and fought you on this. My wife finally just said, send it, because I thought it looked dorky. I thought it looked amateur. I thought it looked folksy. I wanted to look professional. He says, you know what? 5 years of spending, I don't know how many thousands of dollars on the professional one, never got a single piece of business out of it. 3 months with yours, which is free, I've gotten 3 big pieces of business from it. So guys, don't walk away from this. But this is for your clients, for your prospects, but certainly if an eye-to-eye doesn't show up, or when they do show up, I would highly recommend you do this. Make sense? So this is what I would put if they don't, or if they come into the meeting. If they are a no-show, what I would say is, hi, we were scheduled to meet, something must have come up for you, and we didn't get together. No worries. I was sending this out to my current client, so I thought I'd pop one in the mail for you. I hope you enjoy it. Best. P.S. Give me a call if you'd still like to speak or have questions. Makes sense? And this should go out chop, chop. So any questions? Could you send out each piece per week? I'm a little confused. If you're saying separate the 3 out, you could, but you know what? To me, that's too much busy work. I'd send them all 3 in the same. But your idea is a good one, Keith, but I don't know how much leverage we get from that. Okay, so now any questions on that before we move to the next topic? Okay, so now we're kind of off the eye-to-eye and just generally talking about the process. So what if you don't get the sale? What if they don't move forward? What if they decide they don't want to go any further through the process? So this has nothing to do with II. It just has a general information on how do we deal with the 21 when they don't want to move forward. There's a couple of different ways that can happen. One is there's a no-show after the disclosure meeting. So after the disclosure meeting, you think everything's gone well, but then they don't come to their next meeting and they quit talking to you. Why do you think that may happen? Why do you think that may happen? So Jeff, why do you think it may happen?
Generally, when that happens, what you find is that you talked about the problems that they had. So you say something like, so you can see your power of attorney screwed up, but I'll help you fix that. And you can see that your fees are way too high, but I'll help you lower that. Or you can see that you're taking too much risk, and I'll help you fix that. You really talk about the problems and not the guy. So they go home and they put the problems on a scale and they say, yeah, we have some problems, but man, we're making money. I don't know if we want to rock this boat. Let's just leave everything alone right now. Let's just back out of this thing. We don't need to call that guy or anything. Let's just sit tight for a while.
So they did the disclosure. They didn't do an advisorectomy.
Right.
So you disclosed all the things they didn't know, and that does work. Unfortunately, that works too often. So what do I mean, Jeff, that unfortunately that works too often? Why is that unfortunate?
It's unfortunate because you think, well, it worked once, so I just need to do that more. I need to do that better. I just have to find bigger fees. I just have to get better at making them see the risk. I just have to make that power of attorney look even worse than it is. I just got to do more and more of that. The analogy that we always use is, if you go to Vegas, there are people every day that put quarters in the slot machines and more quarters come out. So does that mean that works? You just need to get better at putting quarters in the machine? No. It means that sometimes that happens. But how often it happens is you're not going to get better. You're not going to get more. And unfortunately, doing that does work, but it tends to work. The more money they have, the less it works.
Yeah, and unfortunately, though, it works way better than what they were doing before they came on to 5Q. So they're assuming it's the 5Q process that's making it work, and it is to a certain degree. It's just they're not using the 5Q process to its fullest potential. And like you said, the bigger the case, the less that's going to work. So what's the other reason? Well, the other thing that can happen here is they come, or at the disclosure, they're telling you, I want to stay with my guy. So at the end of the disclosure, they're like, thanks for this. So they don't even give you the nod at the disclosure. They say at the disclosure they're going to stay with their guy. So you're going to deal with these things a couple of different ways. There are 2 different ways. But as Jeff was just saying, what either one of those problems, guess what it's telling you? You did not do the checklist appropriately. You didn't get them where they're disappointed with their guy, irritated with the guy, and angry with their guy. What you got is they're disappointed that they're missing all these things, they're irritated they're missing all these things, and they're angry they're missing all these things. So what do they do if that's the case? If they're disappointed that they're missing all these things, irritated they're missing all these things, and angry they're missing all these things, what do they do? What do they do? Yeah, they call their guy and say, gosh darn it, why did you miss all these things? Why did you miss all these things? And the guy says what? Oh, sorry, I'll fix it, cross my heart, hope to die, I'll never do it again. And then they stay with the guy. So it has to be they're disappointed with their guy, they're irritated with the guy, and they're angry with the guy. Okay? So that's why you're having this problem. So when you call us and you say this has happened, Jeff and I are going to try to help you fix it, but really I'm not even all that concerned about fixing it. Because even the year that I made $1 million doing this, I had people who did that. I had people who said this. We're no-show after disclosure meeting. Or at the disclosure meeting said they want to stay with their guy. So guess what I did with especially the first one, the no-show at the disclosure meeting. Did I try to fight him? Guess what I did? I said, well, that's a $20,000 mistake that I'm going to learn from. Because I knew that all I'm going to do is go push me, pull you between him and the other guy. I didn't even want to deal with it. So I just said that was an expensive lesson to remind me, do things the right way. Okay? So when this happens, Jeff and I are going to make sure, before we help you try to fix it or try to save it, we're going to make sure that you understand you did something wrong. So the biggest thing you should do here is not try to get that client back in, but go back and listen to the tape and find out what you did wrong at the 21-point checklist where you got into this situation to begin with. Because I'm a lot less worried about you fixing this one as what? I'm a lot less worried about you bringing that person back in. Not that I don't want to help you bring it back in, but I'm a lot less worried about that than I am about what? Fixing the 21, the next one, or the next many? The next many, okay? So if there's a no-show after disclosure, what you want to do is try to get a hold of them. Most times, are you going to be able to get a hold of them? No. So what I want them to understand when I send them a letter, or what I want them to understand when I leave a voicemail, is that I'm not concerned about what? What I want them to understand. I'm not concerned about what? The money, right. Because the reason they canceled is because they don't want to what? Fix their power of attorney, get the survivor's guide, get the quality of life directive. Is it that the reason they don't want to show up? What's the reason they don't want to show up? What's the reason they don't want to show up? They don't want to move the money. Exactly. So I'm going to take that off the table just to get the process started again. So I'm going to leave a voicemail, something like this. I'm going to say, hi, Jim, Mary, it's Mike. I wanted to get a hold of you. Hey, you haven't, we missed your appointment. I haven't been able to get a hold of you, so I'm assuming that you're happy with keeping your money where it's at. That's cool. You know what? If you're happy, like we talked about, hey, it's been doing okay for you, so just leave the money where it's at. But now that I've opened up this other can of worms, I'm ethically obligated to help you get these other things fixed, getting your power of attorney fixed, getting the quality of life directive, those kind of things. So, hey, leave the money where it's at. That's not a problem. That's not, if you're happy and it's been working well for you, well, who am I to say you should change that? So keep the money where it's at, but let's get in and fix these other things because, you know what, if one of those things tomorrow happened and you were put in a position where that's a problem for me. So I want to make sure that once I've opened up this can of worms with these other things, leave the money where it's at, but let's get these other things fixed. So give me a holler, and let's get together and just start working through these other things that we talked about, the power of attorney, the getting your umbrella fixed, getting the quality of life, those kind of things. So again, leave the money where it's at. I don't really care. Let's just get these other things fixed. So how many times did I say leave the money where it's at? How certain do I want them to know that I want them to leave the money where it's at? Beyond a shadow of a doubt. And then when they come in, guess what I do? I fix just one thing. I help them fix just one thing. Maybe it's the power of attorney. So then I help them actually. So normally with the 21, we don't help them fix anything until they move all their money to us. But I screwed up here. I'm trying to save this deal. So what I'm going to do is just help them fix one thing. And then once we fix that one thing, we take another thing and say, okay, now let's get this other thing fixed. And then the next meeting, we'll fix that next thing. And I've never had a guy that has done this that had to fix more than two things, fixed one thing and then fixed another thing when the client does what? The advisor never does this, but the client does what? After you fix one thing, many times the client will do this, and then when you fix the second thing, I've never seen an advisor go to fix two things before the client does what? Brings up the money. Says, the reason I thought you should know, the reason we kind of stalled on the money thing was because blah, 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 which gives the guy the ability to do what? Get on their side, overcome the objection, and move the money. And guess how easy that is? Simple. Why? It becomes very simple. Why? Because guess how big the objection is at that point? It's very small. Why? Why does the objection go away? Aha, because you've shown that you care and you've shown that they're different. So when you do those things, you never bring up the money. You let them bring up the money, and they will bring up the money. And you'll save about half of your deals when you do it this way. I can't tell you how many guys that have done this, and call them and said, man, it worked. They came back in, they did it. So it's all about saying, because they want those, if you've done a good job on the 21, but you did a good job just killing the issues instead of the guy, that means they're still worried about these issues. And that guy ain't helping them with those other issues. So they still have they still want to get those things fixed. They just don't want it with the money. So that's how you do that. Any questions on that? So if they don't show up to the implementation meeting, this is and they won't return your calls. This is a way to get them back into the process. That's the beauty of the 21. Because guys, if all you were doing was selling products, what's the likelihood you're going to get those people back in your office? Zero, right, John? Zero, right, Bruce? Okay, let's talk about the other thing. What if they, at the meeting, or sometime in the process, say they want to stay with their guy? What do we do? What do we do then? Well, the first thing we're always going to do, is that something I want to hear? I want to stay with my guy. Is that something I want to hear? No way. So anytime I hear something I don't want to hear, what's the first thing that I say? Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I do what? I get on their side about staying with their guy. And then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to review the 21 with them. I'm going to review the 21 with them. And then I'm going to review the fact that, hey, do they owe me a thing, guys? Do they owe me anything? See, when I review the 21, guess what they think I'm setting up? That they owe me something. But you're going to see that I take that away from them and say, no, you don't owe me anything. Then I'm going to say, is it fair to you to go back to your guy? And then I was going to say, on the surface, it makes sense to stay, but should you do things right the first time? So you can see me go through this whole process, okay? So, but again, just remember, if anyone digs a pit, they themselves will fall into it. If anybody rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. So just remember, the fact that, that they're saying they want to stay with their guy, what did I do? During the hour and a half or 2 hours I spent with them, what did I do during the hour and a half or 2 hours? I dug a what? I dug a hole for myself. I dug a hole for myself. I tried to get, I was attacking what? Their things and instead of letting the client figure out for themselves that their guy was not to be trusted. So the first thing I have to realize is, boy, I really screwed up. I never want to get in this situation again, but now I'm going to go ahead and deal with it, okay? So if you don't have time to do it right, what makes you think you'll have time to do it over? So do it right the first time, guys, okay? Do it right the first time. So I'm going to role play a little bit of this with Jeff, okay? So Jeff, are you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so go ahead. So we finished up with the, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is really good information, and we're definitely going to go home and think about a lot of this stuff. But for now, I think we're just going to kind of stick with our guy and keep doing what we're doing.
Well, you know what? That makes total sense. I mean, that's what I would do. Because the fact is, you've known him for a short period of time, or how long?
No, we've actually been working with him for quite a few years now.
Yeah, for quite a few years. And you know what? When I've worked with somebody for a long time, for quite a few years, doctors, mechanics, or whatever, I'm comfortable with them. We communicate well. You know, they know what I like. They know what I don't like. So there's, you know, I trust them because they haven't taken advantage of me before. So there's so many reasons to stay with the person I'm with. I mean, if willy-nilly, I mean, if I've been with a doctor for years, he delivered my kids, he's come over to my house when my kids have been sick, you know, he's always been there for us, and some new guy comes in with some fancy schmancy machine or something, new x-ray machine or new whatever, and I just willy-nilly move to that guy. Is that really the way to treat a doctor who's been there all my life, all my kids' life, all my wife's life? Is that any way to treat a doctor?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, loyalty is a big or little thing. It's a big thing, right?
Yeah, it's a big thing.
So, I mean, that says so much about you, that you're loyal to your guy and you want to be with them, because that is absolutely the way that the world should run. So kudos to you. Kudos to you for the fact that you're loyal, the fact that you stand by people who stand by you. That's awesome. That's totally awesome. So what we do want to do is just get some things. Have you heard some things here that need to be addressed at this point?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Survivor's Guide, do we have that?
No, we don't.
Important or not important?
No, it's important.
Yeah, Quality of Life Directive?
Yeah, we don't have that either.
Yeah, because we said, who's that? If you don't have that, who's that going to hurt? Not you.
The kids.
That's right.
Decisions.
Awesome. You're an awesome listener. That's great. The kids. How about the power of attorney? What do we find out could happen with that if we don't get that fixed?
Well, my wife might not be able to get her money if I end up in the hospital or something.
Yeah. Which is a little thing or a big thing for your spouse, or for you if it happened the other direction.
That might be a big deal.
Yeah. And how about umbrella? What do we find out about that?
Well, that we ought to be looking to make sure that everything's covered so that we don't end up spending our money on things that we thought were covered but aren't.
Yep. And taxes, paying too much or too little?
Yeah, we need to definitely look into that.
Because if we don't do that, all that extra money's going to where?
To the IRS.
And the IRS is sending it to the capital, and the capital's doing what with it? Spending it on good things, right?
And mostly going to waste.
Yeah. So, and then we found out paying too much or too little fees on your investments.
Too much.
Too much. And where does that money go?
That goes right into the advisor's pocket.
Yeah, but at this point, like we said, loyalty, him making a few extra bucks, that's okay, because guess what? He's been there all your life, or since you've known him, or not?
No, he's been there for us the whole time.
Yeah, totally. And then diversified, too diversified, not diversified enough?
Not diversified enough, really.
Yeah. So, and why do we find out that we weren't diversified enough? Because all of those really, it was acting as 15 different investments, or all those 15 were basically acting as one investment?
No, they were all acting alike.
Yeah. So, and what was the advantage there? To you?
Well, it's for us. It's not really that good because we don't really want all our eggs in one basket.
So why did we find out maybe that happened?
He's just he didn't care. He really didn't. Right. He wasn't looking at it. He wasn't paying attention.
But if you think about it, these are all things that can be fixed or can't be fixed.
Oh no, they can be fixed. We hope they can be fixed anyway.
Well, yeah, certainly they can. And you want to do things the hard way or the easy way?
Well, the easy way, obviously.
Good answer. Because if you said the hard way, I'd be worried about your mental your mental sanity there. So the easy way, the easiest way is to do what? Just go back to him and say what?
We need these things fixed.
Yeah, and guess what he's going to say?
I'm sure he'll say he'll fix them.
Darn right he will, because you know what? You're a client of his. He wants you to be what? Happy or mad?
No, he wants us to be happy.
Yeah, so, I mean, I brought these things to your attention. Now you know to address them. We spent, what, 3 weeks together? And we brought these things to attention. We've got them identified now. And then you just bring them back to your guy. You could do that. If you did that, though, would that be fair?
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I just think at this point we owe it to him to give him a chance to address it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you think about it, when we talk about is it fair to me?
Not really.
But does that really matter? Because did we have an obligation to each other that we were that you had to work with me if I brought these things to your attention?
No, I mean...
No. Hey, you know what? When you walk out that door, how quickly will you be able to forget me?
Well, I mean, we're not gonna dwell on it. That's for sure.
No, you're not, and nor would I expect you to. Because is your job to worry about me, my family, me making a living? Is that your job?
No, we're really more. Well, we have to be more worried about ourselves.
A little or a lot more worried about yourselves?
A lot.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about whether it's fair to me or not, because that has nothing to do with it. Because I don't think it's unfair to take all the stuff back to your guy? Because you got to do things. For me to ask you to do things a hard way would be ridiculous. I mean, anybody in the world that would ask you to do things a hard way, that would be ridiculous. I expect you to do things the easy way. So I'm not worried about fairness. I appreciate you thinking about maybe it would not be fair to me, but I'm not worried about that because that's just a cost of doing business. Sometimes it works out for me, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not worried about that. So, but I'm wondering, would it be fair to you?
Well, I would think. I mean, I can't think of why it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Do things change?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Interest rates?
Yeah.
Economy?
Yeah.
Stock market, political scenarios. I mean, things are always what?
They're always changing.
And do they change faster than they used to or slower than they used to?
Much faster.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Let's say that you go back to your guy, get all these things fixed up the easy way, boom, 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 all fixed up. And then things change 6 months or a year down the road, and you don't hear from your guy. And you start to think, all these things were screwed up before, and I had to go to him and tell him all the things I needed to fix. I mean, I kind of had to help him do his job to get these things fixed. Now everything's changed again, and I'm not hearing boo from him. I wonder if things are being watched the way, or if he's back into the old habits, not paying attention again. So you give him a call. Now, you give him a call to yell at him or just to check?
No, I'm just checking.
Yeah, you're just checking. But he's thinking, they're checking up on me. And is he going to be open to that or maybe a little defensive?
He might be defensive.
And then you start to think, why are you getting defensive? If you'd been doing things the right time and I didn't have to come to you 6 months ago or a year ago and show you all the things that need to be fixed because you weren't doing your job. So don't be copping a attitude with me, dude. And when you get a little pushback to him saying, dude, watch your attitude with me, what's he going to do?
Oh, he's probably going to get a little angry.
Which is going to make you what?
It's going to make me angry.
So now we've got this death spiral. Because here's what happens. When we work with a professional and we find they're not doing their jobs, we can go back and address them, but then always in the back of our mind, we're a little bit worried about what? What's happened to our trust in that gentleman's or that lady's ability to take care of us and be proactive and be looking out for our best interest? Is that trust still intact, or is there a little crack in it?
Oh, obviously there's a crack in it.
And once that crack begins and you start to look over the shoulder, what happens to that crack? Does it get mended or does it get bigger?
No, it gets bigger.
So almost always when we get into a situation where, money, health with our doctor, family, when that trust is cracked, what happens to the relationship going forward? More trustful, or we're a little bit more on edge and looking over the shoulder a little bit more and a little bit less forgiving when we see those problems?
Well, we're definitely looking over the shoulder more, and we're looking for things that could be wrong.
Yeah, and then what happens to that person then when you're looking over their shoulder? They love it, right?
No, I'm sure they hate it.
So inevitably, we try to mend the fences, but inevitably, what happens? There's a death spiral of what?
Well, the relationship starts to go downhill, I guess.
Yeah. So I appreciate the fact that you're worried about me, but who should we be, like you said, who should we be worried about, me or you?
No, we need to be worried about us.
So really, who's it unfair to go back to the guy who did all these things or missed all these things?
Well, it would be unfair to us.
And if you think about it, it's a little bit unfair to him too, isn't it? Because does he really want a client who's now not going to fully, maybe a little bit trust him, but not fully trust him, is going to be checking up on him, going to be looking over his shoulder? Does he really want a client like that?
No, I'm sure he doesn't.
So when times like this, sometimes it's just better to what? They say what?
Just walk away.
Yeah, just walk away.
Bait,
So
yep.
I totally get that you're loyal to him, but is loyalty a one-way or a two-way?
No, it's a two-way street.
I mean, I'm loyal to my friends when they're loyal to me, but if they become disloyal to me and they start, banging into my car and they steal my phone and they kiss my girlfriend, what's going to happen to my friendship?
Yeah, we're not going to be friends anymore.
Because loyalty is one-way or two-way?
No, it's two-way.
I mean, even with our spouses, we love our spouses because our spouses love us. We're loyal to our spouses because they're loyal to us. But if we find out they're not loyal to us, what do we do in this country?
I'll get a divorce.
Yeah. So really, if you think about it, there's only, well, you know what? There is one relationship that we have that's not two-way. They can They can say bad things about us. They can steal money from us. They can promise to pick us up at the airport and then not show up because they're out with friends. And what kind of who is that? Who is that relationship with?
Kids.
Kids. Yeah. So I totally get that we have a and what do we call that love? But for our kids.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. So I totally get that you have unconditional love for your kid. I guess the question I have is, do you have unconditional love for your advisor?
No, I mean we like him. We work with him because he's doing a good job. But no, we don't love him.
Mm-hmm. And what do we find out about it? Like you said, he's doing a good job. What do we find out? He's doing a good job on what?
Well, he's doing a good job on the things that make him money.
Mm. And so to stay with him would be fair to who? Because at this point, are you concerned about being fair to me, being fair to him, or being fair to yourself?
No, we have to look out for ourselves.
So what do you think you should do?
Now we should go forward. We should go ahead and do this.
Yeah, with who?
With you.
And why?
Well, we don't want to have to look over anybody's shoulder and be worried that things are only fixed for a while, and we just want to know that it's done and that we're getting the best advice.
Well, if we think about it, if he does get upset that you're moving, is it because he's your friend? Is it because he's worried about you, or why do you think he might be upset that you're moving?
No, he doesn't want to lose the account.
So really, push comes to shove, you're worried about him, or you're worried about yourselves?
No, we're worried about us.
So you need to what?
We need to move.
With?
Well, with you.
Great. You're sure now, because I don't want to push you.
No, it's the right thing for us to do.
Okay. I think it's the right thing, too, because I've just seen people going the other way, and guess what inevitably happens, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or a year down the road?
Oh, I'm sure the relationship just goes to pot.
Yeah. So why don't we set up a time for us to get together, let the dust settle, give time of giving up a good question, so then I just move into it. So again, guys, I have to go back and over and over and over with Jeff. Why? Because I'm changing his belief about what he wants to do. So you find that, is that an easy thing to do that I just did with Jeff? No. So guess what? You do that once and you learned your lesson. What have you decided at that point? Make sure it what? Never happens again. And how do you do that? Do the 21 checklist right. Don't attack their things. Let them come to the conclusion they can't trust their guy. Because I'd rather not have to have that discussion. Because that's a lot harder to do that than to have them realize that their guy had a reason to make all these things happen. Make sense? Good. We'll talk to you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all on Friday. Thanks, everybody.